Welcome to Real Rockford Files, for tales of the paranormal, supernatural, and the flat-out unbelievable. Today I'm going to be sharing 2 more AI horror stories. Happy 4th of July. Now, let's get into it. Story 1. The Hollow Pines. Caleb Fletcher wasn't a thrill seeker. He wasn't an adrenaline junkie or a ghost hunter. He just loved hiking, solitude, nature, and when he stumbled across an obscure blog post about a forgotten trail called Hollow Pines deep in the Appalachian wilds, he was intrigued. Few had reviewed it. The trail wasn't on most maps. The GPS barely found the coordinates. That should have been a red flag. Instead, it piqued his curiosity. The only consistent thing mentioned in the comments was the warning, "Don't go past dusk. The woods don't like that." Caleb laughed when he read it. Just a local superstition. Every patch of forest had its cryptid story. Wendigos, skinwalkers, ghosts. This one apparently had a Bigfoot problem. Cute. He packed light, 1 flashlight, 1 flare, snacks, and a utility knife he never actually used. He planned to hike in, take photos from the overlook at sunset, and hike out under moonlight. He never made it to the overlook. The air grew colder than it should have the deeper he went. The trees didn't just block sunlight, they seemed to absorb it. He checked his watch, barely 5 p.m., but it felt like twilight already. At first, everything was fine. Then he noticed the silence. No bird song, no insects, not even wind. Then came the smell. Wet fur and copper, like blood soaked into animal hide. He paused. A branch cracked somewhere behind him. Not snapped, broken, clean, deliberate. He turned quickly, but the forest stood still, innocent. Only the mist creeping at his ankles hinted at anything wrong. He walked faster. 10 minutes later, another sound, louder this time, like breathing, rasping and deep, like a smoker trying to stay silent. He turned again. Nothing. But the feeling of being watched took hold, like a hot hand pressed between his shoulder blades. He pulled out his flashlight, clicked it on, even though it was still light enough to see. Somehow the beam didn't reach far. The mist had thickened, swallowing the trail behind him. Then he heard it. Thud, thud, thud. Slow, measured footsteps, huge ones. Something was following him. He broke into a jog, then a run. Every 30 seconds, another footfall, matching his pace, then silence again. He slowed, panting, heart pounding. He looked behind and saw it, just for a second. Between the trees, a silhouette, massive, hunched, a head brushing the lower branches, arms like clubs hanging to its knees, red eyes burning and watching him. He ran blindly, crashing through ferns, thorns ripping his sleeves. No trail, no direction. He slipped down a ridge, tumbled, cracked his knee against a root. He grunted in pain but bit back a scream and froze. Up on the ridge, it stood, outlined by mist, sniffing the air. Then it descended, fast, faster than something that big should have. Caleb scrambled backward like a crab, half crawling. He fumbled for his flare, lit it just as the thing burst from the trees. Searing red light filled the space, and there it was, Bigfoot. But this wasn't the cartoon version. This thing's fur was matted with gore. One eye drooped, bloodied and blind. Its mouth gaped in a crooked snarl, teeth cracked like old stones. Its chest was heaving, like it had been running a marathon, but it didn't seem tired, just angry. It didn't attack. It stood there, 10 feet away, swaying, twitching, watching the flares flame as if confused. Caleb didn't breathe. The flare hissed, then died. Darkness. A guttural growl followed, low, resonant. Caleb closed his eyes. Then nothing. No impact, no teeth, no scream. He opened his eyes. It was gone. Not a broken branch, not a footprint. Vanished. Caleb turned his head slowly and saw something worse. All around him, trees had been marked. Long claw marks, deep gouges, dozens, hundreds, and bones, animal bones, some too big, arranged in spiral patterns around stumps and stones, ritualistic, deliberate. That thing hadn't been alone. He got up, limped forward. He had no clue where he was, no bearings. Every tree looked the same. The woods felt alive now, moving when he wasn't looking. He heard whispers, not words, just tones, like something mimicking human speech but failing. A child trying to imitate voices they didn't understand. He passed a tree and saw his name, carved roughly, Caleb. He hadn't done that. No one should have known he was here. Then ahead, light. Not daylight, something pale blue. He pushed through a gap in the brush and emerged into a clearing, one not on the trail map. And there it stood. A totem, 15 feet tall, carved from a dead pine. It resembled the creature, same crooked grin, same mismatched eyes, but covered in old bones. Skulls hung from ropes, animal hides flapped like flags. Around it, footprints. Not one creature, many. Some larger, some smaller. A family. He stepped back, snapped a twig. Every sound in the forest ceased again. Behind him, twigs snapped. He didn't turn, he ran. Branches whipped his face. Roots tripped him. Once he swore a claw grazed his back, but he didn't stop. Hours passed, or minutes, he wasn't sure. Then, finally, through the trees, a trail marker. Faded, barely visible, but real. And behind him, a howl. Long, furious, primal. He didn't look back. Caleb staggered into his car just as the sky began to lighten. He collapsed into the driver's seat, trembling. His back was bleeding, his boots caked in mud, but he was alive. When he returned to town, he reported the trail damage, but said nothing about what he saw. He knew they wouldn't believe him. A week later, when he went to check the blog post about Hollow Pines, it was gone. No cached version, no trace it ever existed. And the GPS coordinates, they led to nothing but unmarked forest. He never returned, never hiked again. He moved out west, changed the number, but some nights, when he's alone, the wind blows just right, he swears he hears something. Footsteps, in the trees, getting closer, and he knows. The forest didn't just let him leave, it marked him, and one day, it'll come to collect. Story 2. Dead Frequency. Forest Ranger Mason Teller had worked the night shift for 5 years, but something about last night felt wrong from the beginning. The wind was too still. The static on the shortwave radios kept crackling without reason, like someone was half whispering through it. The forest, usually alive with cicadas and night creatures, was silent. His tower sat deep inside Trinity Pines, a dense, federally protected forest rarely visited after dark, 23 miles from the nearest road. The only connection to the outside world was his ham radio, a decades-old generator, and line of sight to Tower 6, long abandoned after the fire in '98. That's where the trouble started. At 2:17 a.m., Mason was refilling his thermos when his radio flared to life. "Tower 4, do you read? Please, don't go outside." The voice was female, panicked, faint, then, "He's in the trees." Mason dropped the lid to his thermos. He leaned into the radio, heart already beginning to pound. "Dispatch, Tower 6. Repeat, this is Tower 4. Over." No reply. He changed channels. Static. "Help, Tower 6, please. He's not human." His blood went cold. Tower 6 had no power, no ranger assigned, no working radio. Grabbing his binoculars, Mason stepped out onto the catwalk. It was pitch black. No moon, no stars, just that heavy, pressing darkness. He scanned the trees. There, a flicker. A light far off in the pines. Then another, like someone walking with a lantern, weaving slowly between the trunks. No path, no trail. He counted 3 separate flickers, then 4. Then they stopped. And just for a moment, standing perfectly still between 2 tree trunks, he saw it. Too tall, too thin. Atop its shoulders, twin towers, like sirens or speakers. Then, without moving, one of them crackled to life. "Tower 4, do you read me?" His own voice, repeated back to him. Mason stumbled backward, dropped the binoculars. They shattered. He slammed the cabin door shut and locked it, grabbed his shotgun from the wall, standard issue but barely used, and scanned the tree line again. The radio flickered on. "Do not respond to the voice. It's not her. Whatever you do, don't go down the stairs." He stared at it. The transmission was on a channel that wasn't real. He double-checked the frequency. It wasn't even programmed into his set. "Tower 4, I see you." Then came a new sound. Far off at first, but unmistakable. A siren, warbling, echoing, but broken, like a warning from another world. Louder, closer. He switched off the radio. The siren continued anyway. He tried to stay calm. Ranger training kicked in. Lock all windows, lights out, maintain height advantage, don't leave the structure unless absolute necessary. That's when the howling began. A shrill, human-like cry echoed from the base of the tower, screaming, a woman's voice. "Help me, please, he's coming, let me in." Mason froze. Then, slam, slam, slam. Something started pounding on the base of the tower. Not hands, something heavier, bonier. He peeked out the window. No one was there, but the screaming kept going. He trained his shotgun downward, heart hammering. "Who's there?" The screaming stopped mid-breath, and the sirens started again. He finally saw it, moving now. It walked wrong, like a puppet on strings. Limbs too long, fingers like branches. Its head was a tangle of rusted metal and 2 massive mounted speakers fused to its neck. It looked up at him. The sirens cut out, and it started broadcasting his voice again. "Who's there? Who's there? Who's there? Help me, please, let me in, let me in, let me..." He backed away. It knew what scared him. It had recorded it. He tried to call dispatch. Dead line. Then another broadcast. Tower 6 again. "If it gets under the tower, you'll hear the sound. Don't move. Don't answer. Don't let it speak as you." The voice was his own, but flat, robotic. He realized something chilling. It was recording this conversation too. The creature was mimicking transmissions, and it was getting better. "Tower 4, open the door." 3:43 a.m. Sound stopped. Total silence. No sirens, no voices, no screams. He stood in the middle of the tower, shotgun up, every light off. Then a knock on the door. 3 slow knocks. "Mason?" a woman's voice whispered. "It's Ranger Lynn. Please, it's me. I need inside." He stepped forward but froze. Ranger Lynn had died in the Tower 6 fire 17 years ago. "It's cold out here. I'm scared. It's cold out here. I'm scared." Same tone repeated. He didn't answer. Another voice came through the sink drain, the toilet, the radio, the walls. All him, begging to be let in. He fired a warning shot. The tower shuddered. Then footsteps on the stairs, metal creaking and bending. Mason doesn't remember when he passed out. Maybe from fear, maybe from something worse. He awoke to sunlight bleeding through the treetops. Bird song returned. The radio was dead. His ears rang like he'd been to a concert. He stepped onto the catwalk, looked around. Nothing. No footprints, no blood, no bodies, no sirens. But in the dirt below the tower, something waited. A shape burned into the grass. A wide footprint, like an old broadcast speaker. He never saw it again. But sometimes when the wind blows, it brings more than air. It brings voices, familiar ones. Tower 4, do you read me? If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to click like. If you want to support my channel, please share it with your friends. If you want to hear more, don't forget to subscribe.